Okay, great. Now what I want to do is I want to ask you guys a question. Since no one feels like talking today, we'll write it on the whiteboard. It's a question I haven't answered really yet. Why do you think sea turtles hatch at night? I'm going to give you each a square so we can kind of compare answers. This is an opinion question. I want to see what you think. So, Anne, you're going to get this first square. DeAndre, you get the second. Paris, you get the third. And Paul, you get the fourth. So go ahead and let me know what you think. Sorry about that, guys. Let me unlock your whiteboards. So why do you think the sea turtles hatch at night? All right, we're just waiting for Paris. Go ahead and finish up, and then we will take a look. All right, so let's take a look. Because they can find their way out to sea. Let me change my pen here. They can find their way out to sea following the moon. It is safer at night from predators. They don't really need to go at night because of the sea level, but they certainly do like high tide. And good job. And DeAndre so predators can't find them that easy, and the only light source is the moon. Awesome. And then we have, because the lights bother them, and there are less predators at night. Fantastic. And it's safer at night. Great job, guys. I'm very impressed with your sea turtle knowledge. Now, we're going to talk about a word that really doesn't have to do with sea turtles right now. We're going to start to shift over to coral reefs, which is a habitat that sea turtles definitely enjoy living in because of all of the food available to them. The word that I'm thinking of is symbiosis. Does anyone know what symbiosis means? You can either raise your hand and I'll turn your mic on, or you can go ahead and write it on the whiteboard. What does the word symbiosis mean? Any ideas? What does the word symbiosis mean? If you're not sure, you can just go ahead and put a question mark up. All right, well, then what we are going to do is we are going to start looking at a PowerPoint on symbiosis. Symbiosis is a big science word that's used a lot in all different types of biology, not just marine biology. And symbiosis is the act of living together. Two organisms that live together either temporarily or for a long period of time. And the two organisms have a relationship where one of the organisms benefits from the other. You probably can think of, oh, this one's hard to read. You probably can think of some examples of symbiosis, even though you may not be sure what it means. There's three types. The first one is mutualism. Mutualism is when both organisms benefit. We're going to look at examples of these in a second. Commensalism is when one organism benefits and the other is unaffected. And parasitism is when one organism benefits and one organism is harmed. So here's sort of a pictorial view. In mutualism, organism 1 is happy and benefiting, and organism 2 is happy and benefiting. In commensalism, organism 1 could care less, and organism 2 is happy. It's benefiting. In parasitism, one organism is being harmed and the other organism is happy or benefiting. So we're going to take a look at some examples. Here's the first example. It's an acacia plant and ants. Now, an acacia plant is a tree that giraffes like to eat. So let's take a look at this relationship. Ants lay eggs on the acacia tree, so they have a safe place for their eggs. The acacia tree covers the infected area with a brown flesh called a gall. What you see in the picture here are galls. The plant uses valuable resources to create the galls. So the ant is benefiting because its eggs are safe. The tree is not benefiting because it is using resources. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you think this is. What type of relationship? The tree is being harmed and the ant is benefiting. Which type of this? One is benefiting, one is being harmed. Okay. It is parasitism. One animal is benefiting, one animal is being harmed. Now here we have an anemone and an anemone fish. Here's the little description. The fish lives its entire adult life among the tentacles of the bulb tentacle sea anemone. You've probably heard of this relationship before. You just may not know that it's a relationship. The anemone fish does not get stung by the anemone, as would most other fish, so they get protection from predators. The fish often drops fruit scraps, which the anemone can eat. So let's take a guess, or think about it. What type of relationship is this? Both animals are benefiting. Okay, I'm waiting for one more. What type of relationship is this? Both are benefiting. Very good. This is a mutualistic relationship, or mutualism. The sea anemone is benefiting by the little pieces of food, and the fish is benefiting by the protection. Great job. Let's look at one more. This one is a boxer crab and anemones. The boxer crab, whose picture is right here, carries a pair of stinging anemones in its claws. It uses these to defend itself from predators, so he is benefiting. The anemones get to move around, which increases their access to food. What type of relationship is this? Both parties are benefiting. In what type of relationship do both organisms benefit? Yay, you all got it 100%. Great job. It is a mutualistic relationship. Both parties are benefiting. Now here we have another one. A shark and a remora. Probably another relationship that you've heard of, but may not really have thought about. The remora attaches itself to the shark and saves energy since it doesn't have to swim. It gets to snack on the shark's kills and leftovers. But the shark doesn't get anything. The shark is not harmed, but the shark does not benefit. What type of relationship is this? This is the last one we're going to do. One benefits and one is not harmed. What type of relationship? Fantastic. Commensalism. Great job. Okay, I'm going to flip forward here just to... Okay. Wonderful job. Now we're going to take a look at some animals that live on the coral reef. For those of you who know about coral reefs are very specific habitats. They need to get light so that the corals can live. And they rely a lot on symbiosis. A lot of the animals in a coral reef rely on each other to survive. There's algae that relies on the corals. And there's lots of fish that rely on other parts of the corals. Coral reefs are very, very diverse and one of, in my opinion, the neatest environments in the ocean. So let's take a look at the tube sponge. This tube sponge that's up on your screen right now is one of the animals that lives on a coral reef. Tube sponges attach themselves right to the coral and help with filtering the water. Next, we have a picture of a vase sponge. Vase sponges are normally very, very colorful. They have sort of this bowl in the middle of them. And they also help with filtering water. Here is a type of coral called a pineapple coral. If you look at these corals, they look like a pineapple. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have ever seen, either snorkeled on or seen a coral reef in an aquarium. Obviously, the coral reef in an aquarium is a setup of a coral reef and not a true coral reef. Great. Coral reefs are very exciting to snorkel on. You can see all sorts of different types of corals. Here's another coral, a staghorn coral. Now, if you look at this coral, it's pink and yellow in my picture. But if you're walking along the beach and you find coral on the beach, it is never very colorful. Why do you think this may be? Go ahead and put it in the text chat. Why do you think that this coral looks so colorful, yet when we see the coral washed up on a beach, it's white? Awesome, DeAndre. That is exactly right. It is because of the sun. It's not because the sun dries it up. However, the sun bleaches the coral. Great, great job. Just like when we talked about invertebrates, we talked about how the sun bleaches sand dollars. Here's a picture of a common fish on coral reefs, a stonefish. Here's a spot-fin lionfish. Flying gurnard. Brain coral. These are large-eyed feather dusters. They sort of sway in the currents on a coral reef. A red rim flatworm. And a leafy sea dragon, which is a type of seahorse. Now, we do have two, I believe, leftover presentations from last week. Anne, yours is first. So Anne has a cold, so she can't talk, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys her project so that it can get shared. She did marine mammals, and she did a manatee. Its diet is he's an herbivore, which means he eats vegetables. Manatees live about 40 years. They're 8 to 13 feet in length. They weigh 440 to 1,300 pounds. They're an endangered species. Manatees are sometimes called sea cows because of their bulky bodies, but still are very elegant swimmers. They push themselves with their strong tails, normally gliding along 5 miles per hour, but in short bursts they can travel up to 15 miles per hour. They are seen alone most of the time, but they can travel in pairs or small groups. Manatees never leave the water, but like all marine mammals, they need to come up for air. While resting, they can stay underwater for 15 minutes, but while they are swimming, they normally surface every 3 to 4 minutes to get air. There are 3 types of manatees based on where they live. The ones that live in the North American East Coast from Florida to Brazil. Others inhabit the Amazon River, and the other kind live in the West Coast and rivers of Africa. Manatees give birth underwater, and they bring their calves to the surface for them to breed. The calves drink their mother's milk, and the adults feed on plants and algae. Great job, Anne. And DeAndre did sea otters. Would you like to go ahead and share yours, DeAndre, or would you like me to read it? All right, go ahead and just turn on your microphone, DeAndre. Click the green talk.
Sea otters are fun little marine mammals and the heaviest, second smallest of the species. And other marine mammals don't have a layer of blubber to keep them warm. In their environment, sea otters have a greater in fat than other species because they eat what's around them. They eat crabs, clams, snails, and urchins. They live around the coastal waters off the Pacific Ocean. They're in Japan, Oregon, Alaska, and California. They are threatened to be extinct.
Awesome. Great job, DeAndre. Okay, so this week for homework, it is in Moodle already. Your homework is to pick a relationship, either in a coral reef or in a different marine environment. And what you are going to do is you are going to describe the relationship to me in a couple of sentences. If you want to put a picture in, that would be great. Like, for example, if I was going to do a sea anemone and a fish, a clownfish, I would describe the relationship. The sea anemone protects the clownfish, The clownfish drops pieces of food, just a couple of sentences, and then you could put a picture in. And we will share it with class next week. Does anyone have any questions on anything we did today or on the homework? All right, well, I hope you guys have a great day. I will see you all next week.